Hey Internet, I'm back, and I wanted to do another game that was an indie game, a little lesser known, not something you'd find in a store. So I went back to my NES collection and found actually another game made by a guy I talked about a while ago, Vinny, whose last name I still can't pronounce. But it's an NES game he released once again at a Too Many Games convention called T-Gun. And I'm going to play it.
Oh look! A sword.
Alright, so T-Gun. It's a top-down vertical shooter. Similar to, like, Star Force, which is actually my favorite top-down shooter, probably at all, but definitely for the NES. Or a game here, Dragon Spirit. And I'll compare it to one of these store-bought games just so you get, a really good feel for how it is, and I'm not just kind of throwing reviews at something with no basis. The first thing I can say, the music in this, a lot better than either of his other two games. It changes up as you go through the various stages. It's pretty good. It's not overly repetitious, it's not annoying, so it's definitely got that going for it. Also, actually, in Dragon Spirit here, you have two attacks. Either your straightforward air attack, or your straightforward ground attack, where you can hit stuff on the ground. So you have like two levels of enemies, but one basic attack. In T-Gun here, you actually have three different attacks. One that's slightly faster and shoots straight ahead of you. The other shoots ahead of you, but does a curvy kind of dealy. And then another one that actually shoots behind you. And the reason that's helpful is because in this game, the challenge is up there a bit, because enemies will come from both behind and in front of you. So you really need to know what you're doing in order to attack them and kind of stay alive. One thing I will say not great about this is, and you'll be able to see it on the screen, T-Gun will be over on my left, this side. The backgrounds in this, kind of repetitious. There's not a whole lot there. I mean, there is some patterns and there's stuff, so it breaks up the monotony. It's not just shooting enemies on a black field. Like, there's graphics, but they're not great. They don't really add to the atmosphere. They definitely could have been done better. Whereas Dragon Spirit here, you'll see you're actually going through different planes and the stages. Like, there's actually terrain there. The ground breaks up. There's water. Enemies come out of, it looks like, the ground or the water. Like, it's really done in level design. Whereas this, definitely lacking in that department. This has no story at all. At least none that I can see. This has an utterly terrible story, so I think I'd actually prefer this. The story in this is, there's a guy who you play as, and his wife is gonna have kids. So you kill an evil spirit dude, and then your wife has kids, and for some reason the husband dies during childbirth, because that's normal. And your wife then has twins. One of which is kidnapped, the other of which takes the father's sword, which turns him into a blue dragon, and then he kills things like his father used to. Like I said, the story's shit. So I'm gonna stick with the non-story that's in this, and it's really not bad. Another thing that's kind of not amazing is the enemies in here, while they are varied and they have different movement patterns and stuff, they're very, very basic. You only get one type of enemy on the screen at a time. It may have various different sprites, but it's always one enemy. And when you kill all of them, you'll maybe get a different type of enemy that moves left to right instead of up and down. But you're still only shooting one enemy at a time. I played for a while, didn't get to any boss fights. Maybe there are some that I just didn't get to. That's quite possible, but I didn't see any. Also, the enemies don't actually shoot at you from what I saw. They just move in directions that are sometimes where you are, so you have to kill them before they hit you. But they don't actually fire shots. And you'll see in this and pretty much every other shooter, they're actually shooting at you. So you're not just dodging enemies, you're dodging bullets. That's actually where the term bullet hell came from for a lot of these games, is usually the bullets are a lot harder to dodge than the enemies themselves, and unlike the enemies, you can't kill the bullet in most games. So there's definitely room for improvement here. He could do, I think he's still actually doing these on his own. He could do a lot better to make the game a little more up to par with other vertical shooters of the era, but it's still leaps and bounds ahead of his other two games, so I guess I give him props for upping his own game a little. Also, I like the box design. I know this really wouldn't matter to anyone but a collector. It looks really good. It looks like one of the old Konami boxes. It looks professionally done. It's pretty decent, you know. It also has an instruction manual in it that actually gives you all the controls and everything. So he really, time and effort went into making this. You can tell it looks good. I just wish the game itself was a little more up to par where everything else is. It's still not terrible. Definitely better than the other ones, but definitely a lot of room for improvement too. Granted, and I'm pretty sure I said this before, if not I should have, there's no way in hell I could do better. So yeah, that's the review. I don't know what else to say. If you managed to get a copy, good for you, because actually I don't know if you can see, but right here in the corner, it's limited edition numbered games. There were only 50. I have number 29. So if you're one of the other 49 people that has a copy, I guess good for you. It's probably going to be a collector's edition at some point. And, I mean, it's not terrible, but honestly, overall, I'd say grab this, or actually screw both of them, get Star Force. That is definitely the best one for the NES. That game's the shit. Or if you want a little more interactive for your scrolling shooters, get something like Ikari Warriors, where you actually control the pace it scrolls. You have a myriad of weapons. You can get in and out of tanks. Yeah, there's a lot of shit out there. And I'm just rambling now, so I'm going to stop. Also, despite any playability issues that this may have had, still 100 times more fun and less disappointing than the piece of shit Xbox One. Fuck that console.